As artists and humans, we often talk about inspiration as if it appears suddenly. But for me, inspiration begins with research. It begins with paying attention to the systems, materials, and everyday spaces that quietly shape our lives. Months ago, I embarked on a town trip with the crew from TalkArtive Gh. Not simply to film, but to observe, ask questions, experience things firsthand, and connect with things I won't normally connect with inside the studio. This trip will later inspire two separate projects within my artistic practice. I have come to realize that some of the most meaningful ideas don't form inside the studio. They emerge when we are walking through markets, observing people at work, listening to conversations, or simply noticing details that most of us pass by without a second thought, and to uncover stories hidden within ordinary objects and things. The trip also took us to one of the busiest phone repair districts in Accra. I've always been fascinated by what happens beneath the surface of the devices we carry every day. We interact with our phones constantly, yet very few of us ever see what makes them work. Watching these technicians carefully diagnose, repair, and restore damaged phones made me realize that every device has a hidden architecture. Beneath the screen is a circuit board, a network of pathways that allows information, power, and communication to flow. I realized that these technicians weren't simply fixing broken devices. They were reading an invisible language, tracing connections, identifying interruptions, and restoring communication between components that had stopped functioning. I began asking myself, can repair become an artistic methodology? Can both the circuit board and QR code become more than technical components? Or what if they could become a visual language I could use in my work? As artists, we also spend time looking beneath the surface, searching for relationships that aren't immediately visible. I couldn't stop thinking about those intricate pathways. They seemed almost organic, resembling rivers on a map, roots beneath the soil, or even the veins that sustain life within the human body. I became increasingly interested in how technological systems often mirror natural systems, each depending on networks of connection to function. These questions led me to develop a barcode I call the circuit code. The circuit code merges portions of the electronic circuit board with the QR code. Although they appear different, I've come to think of them as cousins from the same technological family or environment. One belongs to the hidden interior of technology, while the other is intentionally visible, inviting interaction. Bringing them together allowed me to create a language that speaks about both what we see and what we rarely notice. Together, they represent two sides of the same technological system. For me, combining these two visual systems was also a way of collapsing boundaries. These observations slowly transformed into sketches, digital experiments, paintings, and new visual languages. Each work became less about illustrating technology and more about translating experience. Research isn't separate from making art. Research is the work. Every place I visit, every conversation I have, and every object I pay attention to becomes part of a larger investigation into how technology shapes our lives, often in ways we rarely stop to notice.
Saying no to certain things, they had you. I know say you are prepared. Because that's why I always talk say, I know say failure be part of me.
Every project opens the door to another set of questions, another place to explore, and another visual language waiting to emerge. This is how my work begins, not with answers, but with questions and curiosity. My name is Gandor, and I am a multidisciplinary artist from Ghana.